Welcome to Reddit Aliens. People who have come close to death. What were your last thoughts? Serious. Not safe for work. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. No last thoughts. Last thing I remember is sitting on the couch watching Friday with my brother and laughing my ass off. Then I had a stroke and woke up a week later in the ICU. Wouldn't have been a bad way to go out, actually. I was having a heart issue, medication complication, which I would find out at the hospital later. I could feel my heart pounding out of my chest, but I kept getting weaker and weaker. I fell to my knees and pulled out my phone to dial 911. I kept thinking, is this really happening? This is really happening. Okay, this is it, I guess. Death was very quickly just the next thing. I was fished out of the pool as a little kid after realizing I couldn't swim in the deep end and going under while clawing at the surface. I was apparently still breathing and moving and came to while the lifeguard was still bullshitting with his teenage friends. He never even alerted my parents. No disrespect to him. He was the one who got me out in time, and I thought I was gone for good, and would have been. A streetlight fell on the roof of my car after I skidded off an exit ramp and hit it head-on. I didn't realize that they are intentionally constructed to be lightweight and hollow, for instances such as this. I don't run into lampposts much. My thought was, as I saw it slowly tilt forward until it came down on my car, was literally, well, I guess I'm going to die. Then I just waited for it to happen. It didn't have much time to process anything else. I was relieved when it merely dented my roof and unceremoniously rolled off my car and landed in the grass beside me. I was on a commercial jet that caught fire during takeoff, the cabin filled with smoke. The pilot didn't say a word, and the plane suddenly pitched forward as if we were going to nosedive in. I was weirdly calm and just thought, wow, I'm going to find out what it's like to die in an airplane crash. I was hiking along a very steep ridge with multi-hundred-foot drops on either side. At times, it was down to about 2 feet wide. This happened on a slightly wider stretch, probably 10 feet wide. It was crazy muddy, and I was using micro spikes for the first time, which made me feel like a superhero, like I could walk up walls or something. As I was stepping downwards, all of my weight on one downhill foot, my foot suddenly slid through the front of the micro spikes, and I was diving headfirst towards the cliff. I was bizarrely very calm and matter-of-fact about it, in a way I would never have expected. My thoughts were something like, okay, I'm diving off a cliff. This is bad. I should try to roll over on my back and try to grab a root or something. Whoops, missed that one. Let's try this one. Missed that one too. This one's probably my last chance. Okay, great. Caught it. Now I should pull myself back up onto the cliff. At this point, I was lying face up, my entire torso off the cliff, legs thankfully still on and holding onto this root. I pulled myself back up, much more slowly and calmly than I should have. If the root had given way, I probably still would have died, and carried on with the hike. Didn't really sink in just how much I almost died until an hour or so later. Bleeding out after tonsillectomy scars came off. As I was lying in the ambulance on the way to the hospital, my thoughts were of my then fiancée, saying her name 3 times and telling myself to hang on for her. I thought I had more time to tell people I loved and appreciated them. That is no longer going to be my last thought, proud to say. Mine was that in the moment I thought I knew I was going to die, that nothing really mattered aside from my kids being taken care of. Amen. Debt owed and owing, things I hadn't done, places I hadn't seen, none of that mattered. For that short time, it was an incredibly freeing experience, until I realized I was going to make it. Then it also slowly crept back in, the stress, the weight of it all. But I learned at that point that really very little in life actually matters, in a good way. A wonderful perspective. Thank you for sharing. Almost got a little emotional on that one, but did great. Thanks. Just as the tornado engulfed my car, my thoughts went something like this. Phew. That tree branch just smashed my windshield. My car is getting effed, but it's protecting me. Did the car just lift upwards? What the? Inside the car is no longer safe. Open the door and jump. F. And suddenly, it was over. It lasted a few seconds. I drove home, still screaming my head off the whole way. I was climbing a partially collapsed dam and slipped, but my friend grabbed my life jacket to keep me from falling to my death. No words, just pure instinct, adrenaline, and fear as I tried my hardest to grab something to keep me from falling. I think this water is too deep. I was 7 or 8 and was walking in the bay and didn't know how to swim. Walked to a spot where it was over my head and everything went black. I woke up to a lifeguard performing CPR. I just felt really tired and was confused about why the doctor was yelling at me to look at him and breathe. He was just figuring out that they'd jabbed an artery during my hysterectomy while I was in my recovery unit post-op. Everything just felt cold and my vision was going dark, but that was because of the tremendous amount of blood I'd lost. I didn't see any bright lights or God, but I also didn't see any fire and brimstone either. ETA, blood donations saved my life, straight up. If you can, give blood. I told my wife I love you, and then the doctor asked me if I took a whole or just a baby aspirin, and I said tell her I love her, and fell over dead. 12 minutes later, they got my heart beating. 19 days later, when I woke up, wife was right there holding my hand. Lucky man. I recently fell 23 feet onto rocks. I was climbing a lighthouse built in the 1700s and was being a little more reckless than I should have when I decided to climb the staircase leading to the top. The stairs could support my weight, but the roof collapsed, dropping me down and collapsing on top of me. As the stairs detached from the ceiling, my last thought was, well, this is a stupid effing way to die. They were trying to put the anesthesia mask over my face so they could operate, and all I could do was fight it because I remember thinking, if I'm going to die, I want to be awake for it. Thinking back, I would not have wanted to be awake for it. I was in a car wreck where I wrapped a car around a power pole going about 90 miles per hour. The car impacted the pole from the passenger side and snapped the pole on impact, sending the car rolling numerous times, ending right side up, but with the car bent in half with 4 feet of cave-in from the right-hand side. This was almost 15 years ago, and I could still remember in the moment before I hit the pole, I saw the whole thing happen. The impact, the glass shattering, the airbag deploying, where my hands were still holding the steering wheel through the whole thing. Then, reality snapped back into place, and the event happened in real time in all of its violence. It was the most surreal experience I've ever had, seeing it happen then experiencing it. I left the accident with barely a scratch on me, but it still F's me up randomly when I think about it. I've always wanted to ask other people that have survived events like this if they also sometimes think maybe they actually died, or are actually in a coma or something, where this life that has been being lived and experienced since is just a quick dream while you're unconscious, but too scared to wake into the reality that maybe they're waiting. Just out of curiosity, as almost a public service announcement, what kind of car were you driving? I think we'd all like to know. I'm going to die, and I'm not even going to take the deer with me. They tell you not to swerve when an animal jumps in front of your car, and it's better to just hit it, but it's a really hard thing to follow. As a fun bonus, insurance covers you hitting an animal, as it's a moving object, but not the freeway divider you slammed into while avoiding the deer. One time was an asthma attack that I had in the middle of the night while sleeping. Woke up, ran to the kitchen, boiled some water with Vicks Vapor Rub in it, struggling and starting to black out. My thoughts were how I was going to miss my grandfather and how much of a failure I was. Luckily, I got air in me before I fell on the stove. Prior to the realization I was about to die, it was more of a panic and flood of thoughts about what I can do to stop this. 8 years old, don't know how to swim, at family barbecue, relatives all pissed drunk and distracted, fell in the family pool, got real close to drowning, no joke. The only thing I thought of at the moment was, I'll never get to play Red Dead Redemption by myself. I would always watch my cousin play it at that age, good times. Family friend noticed me and saved my ass. I was in a situation where I nearly drowned. I stepped off the deep end of the pool without knowing how to navigate water. My dumbass parents thought I knew how to swim despite neither of them ever putting me in water above my knees before this. So as I fell and failed to resurface, calling out help, they thought I was joking. I just about gave up trying. My arms and legs were exhausted, splashing frantically. Anyways, my thoughts were, I didn't even grow up yet. I was dumb. I sink like a lemming. And help, I can't swim. I wonder what it's going to feel like. I was about 6 or 7 at Water Safari. They have a lazy river where you sit in tubes. I was sharing one with my brother, a 2-seater one, but he wanted to lay down, so he found a different one for me to sit in. It was effing huge. I fell right through, and it floated away. I was 100% sure I was going to drown, so I just accepted it and didn't try and get help. I vividly remember 2 elderly people screaming, "Oh my God," when they saw me. Lifeguard immediately jumped in and got me. My mom just so happened to be passing by as he did, so he just threw me onto her, lol. Had a really bad case of the flu. I was alone at home and my phone was a room away, so I couldn't get up to get it. I already nearly passed out from just sitting up, fever of 104 Fahrenheit. I was coughing terribly and could barely breathe and was chain vomiting and dry heaving, terribly dehydrated but too scared to get water. I was certain I was going to die the next time I vomited. All I remember thinking was, what a lame way to die. I drifted in and out of sleep for a few hours and hallucinated my own death. Obviously, since it was a dream, I don't remember it very well. I woke up the next morning feeling pretty shitty, but not like I was about to die, so it was a win. I attempted suicide like a year and a half. I still don't know if it was a good or bad, but I survived. I put on my earphones and started listening to music while I was waiting to get unconscious for the lack of oxygen, so I just thought, it is done. You can't change anything. It is finally over. At least I'm enjoying my final seconds with good music. Then I woke up, I was on the floor, the belt I was using just broke, and I fell off. What were you listening to? I got shot through the neck by a sniper in Afghanistan. Genuinely thought my time was up. When I hit the floor, I landed on my back. I couldn't stand up, which probably saved me from being finished off. I wasn't in pain. My thoughts were, the sky was really blue, and that I'd let my family down. After lying there forever, 2 of my mates ran out and dragged me into cover by my shoulders, put quick clot in my neck, and got me into the back of an armored vehicle. Glad to hear you made it out, brother. And no matter what, you didn't let your family down. Thank you for what you did. I almost drowned a few years back. I remember it vividly. I went under for what I expected to be the last time. Looking up, I could still see the late spring sun shimmering through ripply surface of the cold water as I kept sinking. I made peace with it. I asked for forgiveness to whoever was listening. I asked for guidance in whatever afterlife I was about to enter. I thought about my now fiancé, my family, and how me of a way it was to die. I was always doing stupid things that could put me in harm's way. I felt peaceful, calm, relaxed, accepting of it. I knew I was about to die and it was okay. A moment later, my brother had plunged into the water and managed to pull my face above as we both struggled against the cold water and our locked muscles to get that bit of shore. I vomited violently for what felt like an eternity, when in reality, it was like no more than 10 minutes or so. I haven't felt that awful or that peaceful since, thankfully. I was in a severely abusive relationship when I was 16. After a particularly nasty fight, I was sprinting down the road to get away. I heard his car very quickly approaching and something just came over me. Everything went silent. My mind was empty. I was extremely calm. I took one big sidestep and collapsed into the ditch. The car mirror must have missed me by less than an inch. The force of the air around the car caused me to lose my balance and spin a bit, landing poorly. Then I got up, ignored the twisted ankle, and started sprinting again. When I thought I was about to be splattered across the pavement, I had no thoughts, just a sense of calm and peace. My first thought when I realized I would die or live, "You'll never touch me again, you nasty mother effer." Attempted murder was enough for me to end the relationship permanently. Got COVID-19. Got a turn for the worst. Was going to be intubated and put in a coma. Doctors did tell me I could simply not awake. I just accepted my last thought after saying that everything would be okay to my wife was, death is only the next step, be it eternal dark, samsara or something else. I will simply embrace and accept it. After 11 days I woke up and I was quadriplegic, couldn't speak, couldn't breathe normally, couldn't even swallow. At some time in panic, 10 seconds Jack from Lost style, I calmed down and began Kill Bill Big Toe scene. Gained fingertips from hands first, then hands. Arms. After 12 hours, there was a clock on the wall. I moved my right big toe. In total, 11 days in coma intubated, lost 75% of lungs, 2 kidneys, gallbladder, got quadriplegic, high fever, high blood pressure, pain, brain damage, nerve damage. Recovered from everything without sequels. I still have to recover my old muscles, but I can move now, no more quadriplegic. Have to remove the gallbladder, but I can eat fat foods and everything. Only real sequel, I still have high blood pressure, but every month I take less pills to control it. I was being strangled on the floor, and fighting back was inefficient. I felt my limbs lose function, watched my arms fall to the floor and thought, oh, my arms aren't working. Couldn't move my legs. I knew what that meant, but couldn't do anything about it. Then my head lolled to the side. I saw a piece of lint on the carpet, just a wee fluff of carpet lint, and thought, I'm going to die looking at this carpet, and no one will know what happened to me. My mom will be so disappointed. Felt sad more than scared. Vision went red and then black. Last thing I remember feeling was that sadness and his hands around my neck. Woke up on the same carpet, with the culprit watching me to find out if I was dead. Human traffickers are scum. I escaped soon after this incident, started studying martial arts and learned how to defend myself in a choking situation, and more importantly, learned how to avoid ever being in that kind of situation again.